All right. Yeah, we are actually live. Ha ha ha. Look at that.
Good
We are
evening.
live to the tube of UBs.
Hi, my name's Sean. That's Ash.
Oh, yeah. Hi.
We're your
Sorry. I
hosts for
just
the
get
evening.
easily impressed when technology works.
Is that why you hit the red button so often?
When I hit the red button so often? Yeah. I was a Marine. It's a proven fact. You can't give us anything that says don't push because we'll push it right away. We'll see if the paint is wet. We have no problems touching shit.
This reminds me again of that I've told you about with the Old Republic comic book where the guy has a kid that keeps coming up and pulling on his tunic. Hey, can I see your lightsaber? Hey, can I see your lightsaber? Every few pages. Hey, can I see your lightsaber? Finally, at the end, he goes, "Okay, you can see my lightsaber." Hands the kid the lightsaber. Don't hit the red button. Why? What?
Yep. And Jessica just said, hey.
Hey.
She's back. You came in to give me your half-drank soda?
I did, but I knew you'd want some Coke, so I brought you some. Your kid drank some of it.
You know, sometimes I say the only thing you gave me was chlamydia, but I'm wrong.
Don't say that. You're terrible.
Shots fired.
As she often says, it's a good thing I'm...
Be sleeping on the couch now.
Hell no. It's my bed. I'll sleep where I want. Anyways, yes, so we are back. The season 3 of Strange New Worlds has ended, has terminated. And I want to talk about that, and I also want to talk about the episode prior to that, which I believe was the one where Leon was stuck on the planet.
Yep. Well, it's not Leon.
Yeah.
It's Ortega. Ortega is stuck on the planet.
Yeah, Ortega was stuck on the planet. I'm sorry. You're right. It was Ortega. She was stuck down there. And, okay, here's my problem with this. All right. First off, it started off Farscape. She's getting sucked through a wormhole. All right. And then she gets stuck in there. All right. And then all of a sudden, it shifts over to the Martian, and she's got to science her way out of stuff. All right. All right. That's fine. And then it morphs into Enemy Mine.
I was going to say, yep.
All right. Which any of those 3 by themselves would have been a perfectly fine plot line to go on. They tried shoehorning too much into a single episode. And for the Enemy Mine and for the Martian, not enough time passed. I mean, she was only there for a couple freaking days. You can, as a human, it's the 3-3-3 rule. 3 minutes of air, 3 days of water, 30 days for food. All right? She was acting like she needed water, like she needed air. But what's fine, all right? She went ahead, she Martianed it up, all right? She Matt Damon that, and she got the water going. It's all cool, all right? But then, just like a couple hours later, she's meeting the Gorn, and she's starving so much that she's eating raw stuff that she's puking and still starving because I'm sorry. All right. It was compressed it into too tight of a time schedule. What they needed, they could have fixed it all with just one thing. All they had to do was just say, all right, she didn't go to a different part of the galaxy. It's a wormhole to a pocket reality. Boom. Okay, we can handle that. Mm-hmm. It's a pocket reality. Time moves faster. Mm-hmm. If they would have had her in some place where time moved faster, that would have given the time necessary for everything to occur. All right. So that was my big hang up with that episode is they just tried to do way too much, way too fast, and the issues she was trying to solve should not have come up for weeks.
I agree. I thought that the whole thing was, it was like 3 things needed to happen. They needed to have somebody who was like a military consultant who had done survival training and had asked them questions. You know, how long, what would you do in these situations? You're stranded someplace where it's like Antarctica. There's no food, obviously. You're not going to go over and be like, hey, look, there's some plants. What plants?
Yeah, there's nothing there.
And, start with that and then, work your way out and tell the story. Second thing was, why even have the wormhole? I mean, that's really the question I keep sort of wondering. Because you're dealing with the Metrons, right? Just to sort of spoil it for everybody. If you don't know, the Metrons are involved. So there you go. I've spoiled it for you. So the Metrons are these uber powerful beings. They're almost akin to Q. I mean, they can stop a starship from going warp 8 like that. So, I mean, if they can do that, why do they need a wormhole to drag somebody out and put them into like this other solar system and do all this stuff? Just to find out what will happen when we stick a Gorn and a human together. That was kind of silly. I personally thought that the original premise, again, we've talked about this, we actually talked about this at the dinner, was the original premise of the story was the short story called Arena, where they had the humans and the alien species, which was basically a rollerball with tentacles that would kill people. And they didn't get along in the story.
Okay.
And so an uber powerful race sticks them together in a confined arena, and there's a force field separating the two of them. And so they basically have to develop weapons or figure out how to kill each other. And so eventually the human figures out that, I'm going to run it for everybody. The human figures out that if he rolls down a hill that's in the arena and knocks himself out, he can go through the force field because he's no longer conscious. And if he wakes up in time, he's on the other side of the force field. He can kill the enemy. And so he manages to do it. He returns home. Bob's your uncle. Humanity's safe because that's the basis of the story. So why not just simply, instead of like doing the wormhole thing, why not just stick them in a pocket dimension like you were talking about, or even just something in their mind? I mean, you don't even have to go into a pocket dimension. They're in a ship. They're somewhere close by. They're both connected. And you see what happens. It doesn't require all this finagling.
Go ahead.
The third thing is that I get that you want to have Pike and everybody involved, but as the storyline goes, again, this is one of those situations where the community, the crew of the Enterprise is forced to make a decision which I personally thought was kind of, questionable. I'm going to stick this ship of the line in a wormhole, and I'm going to park it there and risk everybody's lives just to sort of bridge this wormhole. But that was just my personal thing.
And that's another thing, all right? In previous episodes dealing with Ortega, all right, Una comes down on her like a freaking, a ton of bricks because she did something that was questionable, that she should not have done, all right? And yet, and as a good, she keeps an eye on all this stuff. She knows what's going on, boom, 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 all right? Uhura straight up lied, all right? She lied, put the crew and the ship and everybody waiting for whatever vaccine they had in jeopardy, lied by punching up the numbers, which is something that would be easily tracked by Una, all right? By the XO. She would easily be able to track no, this was the real numbers, and it says right here, that the numbers were altered. I mean, that's information that's saved in the metadata. And so how come there's no repercussions on Uhura for this?
Yeah. I mean, a court-martial offense, actually, is what I was thinking. Because...
Very much so.
Because, number one...
Maybe...
Go ahead.
Maybe that's how Scotty ends up being higher in rank than her, is she gets busted back down to an ensign.
So next episode, it's Ensign Uhura, no longer a lieutenant.
Could be. That's what I'm seeing.
Could be. If we see that happen in the next season, we're suddenly dealing with Ensign Uhura, I'd be like, okay, maybe that's the repercussions. But yeah, I mean, I found like you, I found the episode was trying to jam too much stuff into the episode too quickly, and I really didn't feel like it was necessary. I mean, a perfect example of let's talk about poor Miles O'Brien from Deep Space Nine, because he had been tortured in like mental prisons. Like they go,
yeah,
we're going to incarcerate you in your mind, and poor Miles is like, I've lived for so long, and
Yeah.
He went through hell. I mean, but, the Metrons don't have something like that. I mean, they can't stick them together in a virtual reality, have them live it out for, like, whatever, and find out how they interact. I mean, that seems like a missed story point, like a narrative that they just sort of went and missed.
The thing is that, once again, it's one of those things where they are attempting to put a bandage over their retcon on the Gorn.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And because of that, they're doing it very sloppy. There was so much pushback about, hey, what the hell?
Mm-hmm.
And, it's one thing to make the ship bigger, but come on, the Gorn weren't even supposed to be there, and they were supposed to look like Godzilla, damn it. And we're not talking about the one with Matthew Broderick. We're talking about, yeah, exactly, Godzilla. Yeah, it's supposed to look like that, like a guy in a rubber suit. But so that's the problem. They're just attempting right now to retcon things,
mm-hmm.
which leads us in to, the next episode, the final episode for
Mm-hmm.
unless you're from, not in the U.S., the final episode for this series 3.
Well, before you continue on that, I wanted to actually do one thing with the Metrons. I personally thought...
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I thought that the Metrons' introduction was not only poorly handled, but I also thought the bandage that they're doing is exactly the same kind of thing that I talked about before, where essentially is like, hey, you know what? We've decided that we're going to use the Metrons to go ahead in the timeline. So we're going to have something happen that's going to change the Gorn. So we go from these Gorn to some other Gorn. So, we have the big rubber suit monsters later on or something. But it's hard to know because, they don't explain it.
Well, yeah, but see, that's the thing is at this point, I don't think they're actually going to do anything different with the Gorn. Just because, to roll them back to be less of a baddie, I don't think that's going to be really possible. But once again, this is just me complaining because there was so much IP already established through decades and decades of canon, and they just completely throw it out the window again. I'm not sure why.
They just didn't like.
But yeah. Yeah, it's almost like, the people who are writing the stories never watched the frickin' show. They just went through and went, oh, who are the most popular characters from each of these, different iterations of the show? Let's see how we can pull them in and get the nostalgia ball rolling. And I hate that. I want new balls. Okay, that didn't sound good. But
HR issue.
Okay, but
we don't have an HR to worry about.
Yeah. But then moving into the final episode, it was a bit disjointed, but by the end of it, I was happy with what they were shooting for. I was kind of sad to see Captain, B, starts with the B.
Patel.
I was sorry to see Captain, I'm sorry, she's always going to be Mrs. McMurray. Captain Patel, I'm sorry to see her go. All right, I liked her.
Mm-hmm.
And, they pulled back the relationship with Nurse Chapel. They turned that into a correspondence relationship. And so they are, and with what the information that they pulled from, the place that they saved, they now have all new star charts to go check out, as if those stars weren't there and they couldn't see them anyway. But, I'm sorry. It's like we didn't see, literally. We just had to turn another 15 degrees over there. But the one of my problems with really rolling for the last 2 seasons of this Star Trek Strange New Worlds is they haven't been out exploring. They've been basically a hotel. They've been someplace that everybody goes off to work, then comes back and stays there. All right. And Captain Patel, she's going off to her ship, then coming back. She's going off to the AG and then coming back. All right. And, everybody's going off and doing stuff and then coming back. They weren't out exploring. But by the end of it, by the end of the show, after all the plot is over with, they basically went, okay, we got new stars. We got all of the riffraff away. So let's point the ship and start going.
Are you calling Patel riffraff or Roger Corby riffraff?
She belongs in Letterkenny. She should not be out there. She belongs in Letterkenny with a scotch on the rocks in her hands. I'm sorry. She'll always be Mrs. McMurray.
I was actually thinking when you were saying that, it's like a hotel, I was actually thinking it's kind of like Cheers. They have a place where everybody, where they come into the bar. The bar is one of the big scenes on the ship a lot of the time. It's like, the 10 Ford used to be on the original or on the Enterprise D. It's like this no-name bar
they have.
Yeah.
They have the main bar there. I mean, they had the bar in Lower Decks. And also, I'm sorry. Okay, I realize the ship is bigger, but does Pike really need a full-on hotel? I mean, he's got a suite. And I'm not just talking, I mean, I understand when, you have somebody that is entertaining dignitaries and stuff like that. You need meeting rooms, you need offices, you need all this stuff like that. Does he really need a fireplace in his room?
Well, not really.
That just seems like a really poor choice on a military vessel.
Yeah. I agree. Especially considering Next Generation, they made such a big deal in second season about having an open or exposed flame in the holodeck, or not in the holodeck. Yeah, it was the holodeck. When the Bringloidy were there, the Irish.
Well, it's not even that. Even in the Galaxy class ship, freaking Picard didn't have a room that big.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the thing that boggles my mind is just getting into like references to the Constitution class in the previous series. They really packed them in on these ships, and it was like that was in Trials and Tribulations in Deep Space Nine, and you had people run around the quarters, and it was like it was busy like in the original series, and they talked about having to bunk up. So they didn't show that in the original series, but they talked about it. So now there's no bunks, and everybody has enough room to have like their mechanic shop, like Ortega's has a full-fledged mechanic shop in
a room.
Yeah, I'm like, what's going on? Why do we need all this space? And this brings up my point again from the previous episode, 3 episodes back, which is, or 4 episodes back. It's the 3.5 Vulcans. Remember, I said there was a. Remember, I said there was a cetacean ops, and you can see the whale swimming around in the.
Yeah.
I'm like, why? What? This is supposed to be a much smaller ship. It's not supposed to be Galaxy class. We have the bar, we have cetacean ops, we have the huge engineering room, and we have huge stateroom-sized quarters for everybody. I mean, it's not just the captain. It's Ortega. It's Spock. Spock has pretty large quarters as well. I mean, like, what kind of spaceship are you running, man?
I know. I mean, and I can understand, large, larger, not as large as they have, but larger quarters are necessary for, department heads, especially when you have, head of sciences, the XO, the CO, you have, the head of medical, which, you never see Mbaga's room. Well, hold on. Yes, you did when he had his daughter.
Just one time.
But even his room
it's the only time they ever showed his quarters. He was in his quarters. He's basically sitting there, and it's just a one-shot vignette. There's the window, there's Mbanga, and the daughter comes in, essentially ethereal form, and comes in and talks to him. And then he wakes up, and then she's gone.
Well, see, and that's one of my things, too, is there's a lot of times, because I was watching this video, I think it was today. Was it today? Today or yesterday? I was watching a video, and this guy was going on about how, one of the problems of what is it, with spaceships in these, sci-fi realities is there is a problem of scale. The people have, scale-itis or whatever. I mean, the original Enterprise, which was what, I want to say 300 meters long?
289 meters long. It was
Yeah,
900
289. Yeah, it was
feet long.
close. Yeah, so that was doable. That was doable for a crew of 400 with everything that you had going on. All right, you still had a little bit of room, so you could have that bowling alley because a man's got to live. Which those of you who haven't seen the original blueprints for the original Constitution class Enterprise, there was a bowling alley. It was right under the fantail, under the shuttle bay. 2-lane bowling alley, by the way.
Maybe more.
Because you got to have competition.
I think maybe there was more. I think there was actually more lanes, but we'll see.
We'll figure it out.
I'm trying to find the original painting that I found that somebody did of it.
Well,
which is hilarious.
I've actually got all the plans up there, but I'm just not going to go get them.
Well, this was a painting. This was a painting somebody did of it.
Okay. Please tell me somebody was bowling. But the thing is that then once you started getting into Star Wars, all right, Star Wars came out, and they were they just kept going bigger and bigger and bigger, and then everybody had to keep having a bigger ship. I mean, and we've all seen that video where the guy compares the size of these vessels with the crew that's on board.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And how even for the Galaxy class with a crew of, what they say, 1,000.
Yeah, 1,000 or 1,200, depending on the season, I think.
You would never see anybody.
Mm-hmm.
All right. It would be empty halls the whole way. You would be reliving The Shining. It would be just ghost town. And that's, one of the problems is that a lot of people who write these, have never been in, anything where it would, people are required to pack it in. In the military, you're required to pack it in. And, back in the day, in the age of exploration, guys were packed in there. And that's the thing is, I hear, oh, yeah, well, they couldn't put people, for months and possibly years at a time, just completely packed in. No one could do that. BS. We do it all the time. All right.
Yeah.
Just these people don't realize that people do that. I mean, and there's just so much wasted space because they think everybody needs to have this huge, voluptuous area where in reality, the amount of space, I'm sorry, I'm just going off. It's too big. They're too big. All right.
There you go. That's something.
That's the reason I'm infatuated with the smaller, more compact ships. I like the Reliant. I like the Oberth. I like that Archer class. I like something that is more what I would consider realistic. Because not everybody, hell, even the TARDIS is small. Let's get real.
Yeah, the thing I actually find frustrating is that Scale-itis, as you put it, has had a problem ever since, really, I really think it started all the way back in Star Trek 3, because Excelsior really goes from one scale to another. It's like the Excelsior actually, if you do like the deck count by windows and whatnot, it's almost as large as the Enterprise D, but its actual length is like 478 or 467 meters, 467 meters long. Constitution 2 is 304 or 305 meters long. It's Enterprise from the refit. And so people are like, well, we need more space for things to work. So we upscaled it. We decided that we were going to do this. So one of the things that started happening was whenever you look at some of the productions, like our favorite that we've discussed before is the Klingon Bird of Prey, which has Scale-itis. It changes rapidly.
Well, Scale-itis, if I might just stop for a second. When I refer to Scale-itis, I'm just talking about how they kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Mm-hmm. What you're referring to is they never stayed true to one scale, even from sometimes shot to shot.
Right.
All right.
But that's
sometimes it
that
would be huge, sometimes small. Yeah.
We got two different
Scale-itis is going here. Yeah.
Because Reliant was consistent with the Enterprise. When you look at Reliant scaled to Enterprise, the effect shots are consistent. I mean, they're the same, roughly same scale. But when you get into like the bird of prey and the grissom is like weirdly out of scale with everything else, and because the bird of prey is out of scale with everything else, then you don't know how big it is. So there's different things, and then in Next Generation, you get to a thing where you start having the problems with scale because everybody's like taking notes for effect shots, and so the grissom goes from like being 120 meters long to being outsized to almost 300 meters long. I'm like, that's not a scout, it's a heavy cruiser. And then, I mean, you get to the new series of films, the Kelvin, and they decide, well, we're just going to take Probert's design and we're going to supersize it and throw a whole bunch of stuff in it. We're going to stick a beer factory for the engineering section.
Yeah, a brewery.
Just ignore the bat symbols on there. Giant water tube for some reason, you know.
Well, yeah, no, that was a plasma tube. No, it's like the. Hold on a second. Go. A dog wanted to come in, and yeah, it's like one of the things they just basically hinted on, and I think it was in the third of the Kelvinverse movies, Into Darkness, was the fact that there's that huge central shaft in the middle of the saucer section. That's where the computer core goes. All right, but no, now it's a huge atrium.
It's just for you to fall through in case the gravity fails.
Yes. Which is just stupid. This isn't Hogwarts. You don't need a big thing with frickin' ladders and frickin' paths going around.
My thing is, and this I'm gonna go off on a little segue here. It's a starship. It should have isolation doors. There should be doors that come down. Oh, look, there's vacuum on the outside of the ship. There's a hole.
Even the Titanic had compartmentalization.
And when you watch Star Trek, what for the last name, Beyond or whatever it was called, I'm like, what on God's green earth? Who designed this ship? We got a central atrium which goes through decks, and there's no kind of like what? And yeah, I was like, well, I can understand why the Enterprise got destroyed.
You know what that was a callback to? That was a callback to the MacGuffin device and Tim Allen, Galaxy Quest.
Oh, yeah? Yeah.
Yeah, think about it. Oh, the big, beautiful thing in the big central, column. That's straight out of Galaxy Quest.
That does make sense, actually.
No.
But there were no chompers.
But no,
gravity was going to be your chomper, I guess.
But yeah, that is the problem. The problem is that they have no concept. They're not using actual technically minded individuals to design this.
There you go.
All right. And if they had actually just brought in some ship designers, all right, and I don't care, bring in luxury ship designers. You know what? You can have some pretty stuff. You can still have your casino or whatever the hell, all right, and your buffet, but it would still be logically designed. And that's, I like the series, but damn it, some people need to be lined up and slapped like a Three Stooges movie is all I'm saying.
So I sent you some pictures just real quick for you to show.
I saw it. I didn't want to put them up there and admit that I was wrong, but you're right. 6 lanes.
It's all right. It wasn't that I was trying to correct you.
Okay,
I was actually just trying to show you the picture.
Harold.
I was just trying to show you the picture so you had a framework so you could see why the painting had it what it did. So it was like the yeoman putting on her bowling shoes is my favorite thing about it.
Yes. Here it is. I mean, the reason that in my mind I was thinking it was 2 is because that center line that they put down the middle of it. In my mind, when I looked at it the one time, I thought it was like, oh, that's 2.
Well,
that's
actually,
2 different things.
I think in some of the other blueprints for the Enterprise, they actually only have 2 lanes. I think in some of the other variations of it, like the Enterprise A blueprints, I think it only has like 2 lanes. But this
one thing that always weirded me out about it, all right, and this is just me, is because and I don't know why, but I always felt that the seats, because you have to have an audience when you're bowling, should have been over here, not to the fantail. But they actually have all the seats right there, which makes sense if you want that auditorium seating going on there.
I think you made it too small for them to see it. Yeah. So you'll need to increase the size.
And here they are in all their 1960s bowling finery.
Along with the lovely, red, blue, green, and I don't think there's any purple in there, but red, green, and blue gel light.
No, he's got purple cruising right here. She's got a purple top. All right, you got the teal going over there.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you see what I'm saying. But I thought you'd enjoy seeing the bowling alley rendered for your viewing pleasure.
It is definitely a 1960s thing. Thank God we're safe here. We're in a bowling alley. Yeah. All right.
The rest of the ship could be destroyed, but the bowling alley.
Yeah. I mean, at some point, they needed to fight off the Klingons in a bowling alley. That's all I'm saying.
Can you imagine somebody picking up a bowling ball and the Klingon is coming with a bat'leth and he goes, with a bowling ball? I wonder what the Klingon
worse.
Like.
Even worse. The Klingon is going through, all right, with his bat'leth or his blaster, his disruptor or whatever, looking for where our heroes are hiding. All right. And then he hears something, tunk, 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 and he looks down and into the ball return, and all of a sudden he's getting pelted with bowling balls coming out at Mach 1 out of the ball return. And then there's some engineer guy back there going, oh, don't worry, I'll reset that after we're done. We don't want to hurt you. All right. I turned that up to 11. I'm sorry.
That's Lieutenant McTavish. Has to have a Scottish name after all. But some things I do like about Strange New Worlds Enterprise, I do like the change to the Jeffries tubes. They make more sense to me because they have rungs.
They make what?
The Jeffries tubes, the little holes in the wall where they have engineering access. They have actual rungs in them, and they have them lit properly. Instead, you're going up a dark tube. What could go wrong? But the other thing is,
okay,
that's me.
I was going to say that works for cinematography,
right?
But if you've ever actually worked in anything, the one thing that we all who work on anything say is, who in the F engineered it? Whoever designed this never had to work inside one of these. Oh my God, the ass munches. All right. Yeah. The simple fact that it is now. Yeah. The simple fact that it's well lit now and easily accessible tells me that no engineer designed it.
Come here, Freya. Give me a second. I have to deal with erstwhile cats because she managed to find something and has got it stuck in her mouth. So hold on a moment. I'm going to take the camera off just for a second.
All right.
I'll be right back.
Yeah, please do. I mean, don't want to see you pull a whole ham out of there. Sorry about that. But other than that, it's been a decent week in Star Trek realms, and I got to, as I was telling Sean right before, I got to go this morning to the local meeting of the International Plastic Modelers Association because I like building models and showing off some of the stuff I had 3D printed, which was kind of blowing their minds. They are all plastic modelers and all of them are kit people, and not a single one of them has ever done anything with 3D printing, and showing off the quality of what I am able to put out with basic, consumer level 3D printers was really, really impressing them. So I actually think I might have a couple converts there. And
nice.
I got some good tips on working with photo etch. So that's good. Still not a single one of them knows how to build a good armature. So I'm on my own there.
So you're going to have to sort of understudy from Bill Krause at a distance.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got so many people kissing his ass. I don't want to be one of many in line, so I will. I will figure it out. I mean, I will glean my little information that I can, and then when I figure it out, I will put together a video and put it up there for the other individuals out there who have no bloody clue what they're doing, much like me. That's what I try to do. Is I try to say, hey, if you ever go and watch some of my build videos from making models, I used to put out, I need to start doing that more, putting up build videos. I point out what I'm doing and how I'm doing it, because there's so many videos where it's that standard, Julia Child's cooking thing. Oh, you have all these ingredients and let's put it down. And now here's the finished product. Oh, hold on here. How'd you go from A to B, bitch? How did you go from A to B? Because I know there was a A1, A2, A3, A4, and A5.
Presto.
Yeah. No, it's like, whenever you see one of those, that's the reason everybody loved Bob Ross. All right, because he actually showed you how it was done. He went from start to finish, and granted, there was no Rembrandt, it was no Picasso. All right, it was just a Bob Ross, but he showed you from start to finish, and there was no magic, and there was no, okay, now after you draw these 3 circles, just shade it in, and now it looks like this whole horse. No, it doesn't. It looks like 3 circles, god damn it. How did you get the horse? All right.
So for the viewing audience, just to make sure you knew that Freya was okay, that was Freya. Still good.
Very good.
But yeah, Bob Ross often was a source of amusement because happy tree. We're gonna start our happy tree here. And yeah, the thing about construction and the thing about work that I often find highly annoying, especially people who do 3D. So this is for you folks out there who do, videos and say, well, this is what we're going to do, and gloss over several steps. That's not helpful. What the hell? The thing I wish that more people did was like you're talking about, take it from one step to another. And a lot of do-it-yourself, like instructions, like if you go to Maker stuff, they'll actually do that. They'll actually have it exploded out. I really wish that was more standardized because that's helpful.
Right. As you mentioned, on when it comes to like doing the 3D, drawing or modeling or something like that, I cannot mention the number of videos when I was trying to, come up with my little card kits and stuff like that, trying to learn how to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And they, bless their demented little black hearts, they're trying to show you how to do it, but they don't realize how little information the people trying to learn this have.
Mm-hmm.
And they sit there and go, okay, now just do this, and go over here. Like, hold on. How did you do that? How did you get that to do that? We don't know what your key command was to get that to pop up. Tell us your key command.
Exactly.
All right. That's how granular they need to be.
I will say this. Okay. So I come from a background working graphic arts where I'm very familiar with a thing called bezel curve. And bezel curve has a little spline editor. It basically allows you to manipulate a line and you can turn it into a curve. So you can create shapes. Okay. So a bezel curve, that's what it's called, has a little spline tool. And you have to grab it and pull it for it to work. One of these guys that was doing a video, he just basically goes, see, we extrude it out, we cause it to form a shape. I know what he was talking about because I've done it for years. But if you didn't have any clue, you wouldn't know what the hell he was talking about because he's just like, see, I got it done. And I'm like, that doesn't help. People need to know how to do that. So
they're like, look, it only takes 2 minutes to do this. No, it took me 2 hours to keep pausing your video so I could then open up another tab and start Google searching and try to figure out what the frick you just did.
Right. So,
because you didn't take the time to, the 5 seconds to tell me. And to get this to pop up, you just have to hit Control V and it'll come right up. That's all you got to do. Tell me that.
Well, see, that's why I will admit, I am daunted at times with essentially creating flows inside tools, inside 3D art programs, for it to automatically process things. Because to me, it's like, how did you get to that point where you're able to do this? I don't understand that yet, and I'm still kind of putting, tab A into slot B and trying to figure out how to go from here to here to here. And they got all these automated flows where they just click on something and it just does it. I'm like, that's great, but I don't know how you get from this to this. And so I sometimes feel like
Exactly.
I'm caveman. And I'm trying my best to learn it. And I will admit, sometimes, I just don't have the time because all the stuff going on. And so I feel like, if I have problems learning it or getting it under my belt, I imagine everybody else would too. Because I'm there
Well, yeah.
from my point of view. I'm not super smart. I'm reasonably smart. So that's my point. But yeah, the other thing is that I will say this about Bill Krause. I will say that he does production on his models on a way that I've not seen anybody do. Like he has like 3 of the same ship in production at the same time.
He's got a production line going.
Yeah, I'm like,
yeah,
I would be like, that's kind of cool, but wow.
Well, yeah, no, he's got it down to a science. Bully for him, he's doing really good work, and his work is just impeccable.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and tell you the truth, if he were to put together a $50 or $100 master class, set of videos, or put together something like that, I don't think he realizes how much money he would make from people like me, just getting in there like Fry going, take my money. All right. If he actually put together a true masterclass, I would. What?
Bill Krause, if you're listening, you could make more money this way.
I've often said, if you really want to make money, don't build houses. Have a Home Depot for the other people who build the houses to come and buy the stuff from you.
Well, it's getting to the point where almost everything is going to be a maker thing eventually. I mean, we're getting to the point where houses are going, well, I mean, in a lot of ways. I mean, you can do self-production of homes. They're getting to the point where you can have the technology where you can have a tool that prints your house and that kind of stuff. Eventually. I mean, I'm not saying
one would
today,
think so, but there's too many individuals. Well, let's just put it this way: our politicians are too easily purchased. They would put up roadblocks to that in order for the established building companies to keep their foothold. Like the old, I think it was Bill Watterson that had Calvin and Hobbes in one of their strips. He said, the depressing part is not the fact that, our politicians are for sale. The depressing part is how cheaply they can be bought. Or maybe that was George. Anyway.
Bloom County, maybe?
No, I was thinking maybe that was George Carlson. I mean, whoever.
It rings
too many
true
car
either
wrecks.
which way.
My brain doesn't work sometimes. But, yeah, it's like I was saying, one of the first videos that I ever made,
mm-hmm.
and it still gets plenty of hits, is how to properly use, Tamiya panel line accent. There was no videos out there. There was no information on how to use this on the panel lines. And I screwed up so much crap because I just couldn't get it to work. And then if I finally figured it out, and it was super simple once I figured it out, I was like, oh my God, this is enamel based. I've been trying to use lacquer thinner and acrylic thinner in order to clean up, and it's enamel based. And so once I figured that out, it was all easy peasy, and I made a quick video on how to properly use it, and people like it. But that's the simple thing, is that there's so many people out there that have videos where, and bully for them, where they just go, okay, I bought this model set, and then the next video is, oh, look, the models are all done, and there's none of the, how did I do it? That was the reason there was a guy called, I forget his last name. His name was Boyd. All right. And he had a channel called TrekWorks. He was one of the original, Star Trek modelers doing a feed on YouTube, and his stuff is still up. His stuff is phenomenal. I mean, it's super simple, and there's no production value to it. You can tell he's out in his garage where he's got a bench at. You can see down in the corner in a couple of them, where he's got a couple cartons of Marlboro cigarettes down there. Mm-hmm. All right. But he explains, okay, this is what I'm doing. This is why I'm doing it. This is how my lighting's working. This is where I'm running the wiring. This is what I'm doing. And because of that, when he passed away, I think it was 2 years ago, he passed away. Mm-hmm. The sheer of, we'll miss you kind of stuff was just palpable. It was so much so that before he passed away, because he died of cancer, everybody knew it was coming, and for the first round, not only was he selling some of the models that he had made, which people were just like, yeah, I mean, I wish I had the money to buy some of his models, but they also did a GoFundMe. And I know I contributed some to it, not much, but I contributed some. And there was enough of us doing that it paid for the first round of all of his medical stuff. So when he passed, he didn't have, his family was not saddled with those medical bills. So, there's good people out there. And Krause needs to be one of those good people is what I'm saying. So he needs to do better videos showing me how he does this crap.
You just want him to educate you. You'd like to be educated.
I do. I want to know his tricks. I need to know when you're building an armature, is it just floating free in there? Is it actually supposed to immediately take the weight of the object? I'm not sure how it actually functions. All I know is it's supposed to be the bones of it, but how are the bones connected?
I think what he does is I think he actually measures, like, looking at the 1537 AMT Enterprise that he built recently, or within the last few months. It looks like what he's doing is he's looking where the framing is inside the model, and then he finds a place to essentially attach the armatures at those juncture points. So he literally lays the armature inside the model, and then builds up the pieces around it, if you get where I'm coming from. And they sort of lock in because of the way the armature sits inside the hull. So it creates a framework that locks into the actual plastic. But that's just my supposition.
Now, and here's my stupid question, because, this whole armature thing, that's old school tech.
Mm-hmm.
All right. That's been around since Da Vinci and before.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, and it's worked. I mean, it's been around that long because it freaking works.
Right. Wouldn't have planes without them.
Yeah. Would 3D printing an internal armature be a different option? Not necessarily a better option, but a different option. Because if you don't want to be sitting there, brazing the copper or brass, brazing the brass and putting it together and cutting everything and all that stuff. Instead, just go ahead and print an armature that you can then put in. I wonder if that would work, or if it would just be a complete waste of time and it wouldn't even hold up its own weight.
I think it actually depends on the material, but since there are, correct me if I'm wrong, because I've not done any 3D printing, so I can't honestly tell you. But isn't there like materials like print resins that actually have metal in them that essentially?
You could, but I don't. I mean, yeah, there's different materials, not necessarily just the resins, but even in the filament, you can get filament with different materials in it, with metals in it. I've got some that actually has a certain percentage of it is wood dust in there, so it sands easier and it takes a wood stain really nice. There's even one guy that I've seen. I watch his stuff sometimes on YouTube because he's nice and funny, but he likes building rockets and stuff like that, and anything from Tesla, and he likes building rockets, and he wanted to build his own rocket nozzles. And so he got filament that was very, very high concentration of metal in the filament. And then he 3D printed his whole rocket nozzle, all right, however convoluted way he needed it, and then popped it into an annealer for a couple hours at 800 C, and then that cooked off all the plastic and just left the metal there, so he had his rocket nozzle.
That's kind of what I'm thinking, because essentially what you could do, theoretically, at least I'm just spitballing, so don't take this as gospel. You could take a composite, like carbon, aluminum, or something else, something lightweight that has enough tensile strength, and a matrix to form it, right? And then fire it, essentially like some people do with putty. There's putties that essentially have aluminum oxide in them, and you can fire them in the oven, and it'll turn into a metal sculpture. So I think you could do the same thing with something that's printed. The only problem is I think it would contract or reduce because of the escape of the vapor, out of the material. But I don't know.
And my thought is that that is over engineered
Mm-hmm.
for what this needs, because the whole problem is with these models is most of them are just engineered to take their own weight.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then when you start adding lights and all kinds of extra stuff in it, that's more weight. And then you get the sag. And then you have some of them, like the classic, 537 refit,
Mm-hmm.
that was so poorly designed, it was not even designed to take its own weight. And then you have the nacelle sags and all this stuff like that. And so you need to reinforce those.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm guessing, I've already bought all the brass and stuff like that, so I can start making the armature, and that's what I'm going to do, because once I finish my next model I'm going to start is the 650, which I'm getting stuff together on, and then once I'm done with that one, I may fall back and do one of the smaller ones really quick, and then head full bore into. I've got several 537 models that I need to start building, because the layer of dust on them is getting kind of thick. I need to start working on them. I think I've got like two of the 537 refits and two of the 37s as well, and one of the D7s. Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
You're fine.
I'm looking. Yeah, I got a Katinga. But I also got a 350 Katinga, but then I've also got the 1400 Enterprise D. I've got the Deep Space Nine. Oh, and the funny thing is I've got the 1650 Klingon Bird of Prey. All right, or the 537 Bird of Prey, which is the exact. I mean, this is the Scale-itis thing. All right, the 537 Bird of Prey kit is the same one as the 1350 Bird of Prey kit. All right. It's the same freaking one. They just put a different number of scale on the side of it. They use the same molds, everything. It's Scale-itis.
Yeah. Well, I will say this. That's the funny part for me. And whenever we were both youngins, whenever they came out with Star Trek Next Generation, there was an issue of Star Trek Next Generation magazine. They basically showed the Next Generation model being made. And the primary hull, the saucer, is 6 feet across. So it's basically 1 to 350 scale, because the original Enterprise is basically about 300 meters long, and it's about 3 feet across. And so, yeah, because it's 35.87 inches long, the one I have. And so,
the 350 scale,
yeah. So it basically is the same scale as the TNG Master Mold original Enterprise. And the problem with the original Enterprise that ILM had when they were doing Generations was it had developed stress fractures on the neck because the model weighed so much for all the neon that they had put into the primary hull, into the saucer. And so they basically created a new armature, if I remember correctly, and had to go ahead and remate the thing. And I don't know if it could separate after that, but I do remember them talking about, well, this is going to be the last time we work on this. And I was like, that's a big hint.
Yeah. Dream big, Hooker. Dream big. No, I'm trying to think here, because I know of some people who are making a 6 foot diameter one. There was actually a kit for a while that you could purchase, a resin kit for the 6 foot model. And there's a couple people out there that purchase that because, they're masochists. And I've got that one friend, Dave, who he's just a size queen. Every model that we have files for, his immediate thing to do with it is just to increase it 150 to 200%. And he's got the larger printers, and so he'll just crank that bad boy up and just make it as big as he can on his printers. And because of that, he's got a God. What did he make that was almost 4 or 5 feet? It's like 5 foot long, I want to say it was was it a C or was it the D? All I know, no, it was the E. He made the E, but he made it where it was literally over 5 foot long. And it's just, yeah, I'm like, dude, and I'm afraid that one day he will find an even bigger printer and
he'll build it
and
really
we're
fast.
gonna lose him. We're gonna lose him because he's gonna be putting it together. It's gonna fall apart and he's gonna get crushed.
Have a little clapper on him. Clap on.
Yeah.
Big clapper. I've been crushed by my models. Please help. Someone help.
Help me! I've modeled. I can't get up.
Oh yeah, I mean it's like the one that really this kind of outdid it in terms of scale, and it's before 3D printing was popular. Was I'm trying to remember the name of the company that produced it, but they used to produce fiberglass hulls for boats, and so they literally produced a almost full size, full scale, 8 foot long TMP Enterprise. I think they still sell those somewhere, but they were supposed to be coming out with a Reliant. And I almost regret mentioning it to you because I'm like, you probably won't.
I have the files for the Reliant, so I can print it at 1/3 scale. Because apparently, I mean, you could always get the Reliant in the 537 scale, but you couldn't get it at the 1/350 scale. And somebody had come out with a kit where it was the back section of the Reliant, and basically you had to buy a 1/350 scale Enterprise and then chop it up for the saucer section and then mount that onto it. And that's real commitment in my opinion. That's a lot of commitment because you're basically buying 2 kits to come up with one.
Yeah, I think the only one that exceeded that, I think, if I remember correctly, was the Starstalker. Because you basically are doing the same thing. You're chopping up the Reliant, you're chopping up the original Enterprise, and then you're buying the fiberglass secondary hull for the Starstalker. So if you're not familiar with it, it has like 2 photons on top, 2 photons on bottom, 2 photons aft on the back, the back dorsal, and 2 photons aft on the ventral. So a total of like 8 photons. So it's kind of
okay. That's weird. All right, keep talking.
So anyway,
the fans are just really good on my computer. I haven't heard them up that level in quite a while, and I'm wondering, do I have something running in the background? So keep talking. Oh yeah, it's probably that.
It's the malware sending all your files.
No, I had downloaded. I had purchased Bridge Commander.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and the loader for Bridge Commander is running in the background. I need to shut that off. I haven't gotten to that point yet. I want to get the mods and bring it up. Right now I'm just playing through the original game.
Okay.
And it's fun. I like it. It's actually kind of fun and relatively easy. So, I don't feel like I'm having to learn a lot of skills to be able to run it.
If you ever want to get a copy of Starfleet Command 2, I have that if you want. And I have a gajillion source files for like the models. And they're nice models. They're not like jinky bitmappy ones. They're actual nice looking rendered ones.
I might take you up on it. Now, I'm noticing that there is here recently a real resurgence in people wanting to play with the more, the more obscure different ships.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's looking interesting.
Because I have like huge slew of original series, movie era, and TNG ones. I don't have many post TNG, so I don't really have much in the way of like sovereign-esque or things of that sort. But I have like, hey look, it's a Galaxy class. Hey look, it's a Nebula. Hey look, it's a Defiant. Hey look, it's this. So
yeah.
So
well,
go ahead,
sir. It has now been over an hour. And I need to shut this down so I can go spend some time with my wife and make good for all the stupid comments I made when she first popped her head in, because I'm a schmuck.
Well, tell her it was all my fault.
Yeah, don't worry, I do anyway.
So that's why she took out the baseball bat and was chasing him.
Damn straight.
I see how you are.
I've been married for a long time. I know how to lie.
Excuse me?
Ah, there she is.
No.
All right. Well, I'll talk at you later, man.
Talk to you later, man. Have a good night.
All right. Night.